Subscribe to my channel Tales That Burn and press the bell icon for new stories. Galactic Council finds reference to humans in ancient scriptures and is shocked. The Galactic Council was supposed to be the pinnacle of civilization. Hundreds of species gathered in its grand chamber on the ring world of Curries, their voices echoing across a hall so vast that sound itself seemed to hesitate before touching the walls. They governed trade, law, and war. They decided the fate of stars. Yet for all their authority, they feared one thing more than rebellion, more than poverty, more than war. They feared the past. The discovery. It began with a scholar named Varel Tor, a Kith archivist who specialized in scripture. Deep within a collapsing library on the desert world of the Rim, Varel Tor uncovered a sealed vault of crystalline tablets. At first, the markings seemed mythological, a jumble of pre-spaceflight stories. But as Varel Tor translated further, one word repeated across the fragments. Human. The word appeared in prayers, in warnings, even in treaties between empires long dead. The tablets spoke of a species not as gods, but as something far stranger. Something dangerous. And so, Varel Tor brought the findings before the council. The scriptures. The chamber fell silent as the holograms displayed translations of the oldest scriptures. One read, "Beware the fire-blooded ones, who walk the worlds of death. They are called human. They do not yield, they do not forgive. When they rise as storms." Another said, "If you meet the children of Sol, do not test them. To them, war is breath, and endurance is their weapon." And yet another, "The day the humans are spoken of again shall be the day the stars tremble." The delegates muttered uneasily. Most dismissed the words as exaggeration. But some whispered in hushed tones, what if the scriptures were not myth? The debate. The Zaran representative, his scales glittering under the light, sneered. Old legends. Nothing more. The galaxy is full of Death World myths. Why should this species be any different? But High Speaker Lauren, a soft-voiced elder from the Veil Worlds, leaned forward. Because, she said, unlike other myths, every archive we find mentions them. Across cultures that never met, never traded, never spoke, always the same name. Human. The hall erupted in argument. Some demanded an investigation. Others warned that digging too deep might summon the very threat the scriptures warned against. The hidden records. Behind closed doors, archivists dug further. They uncovered evidence that entire wars had been fought to erase human records. Great empires had collapsed in the effort, but fragments remained, testimonies of fear, admiration, and destruction. One chilling record described a single battle. The fleet of the Zorath numbered 10,000. Against them stood only 50 human vessels. Yet by the end of the day, the Zorath were ash and silence. The humans buried their dead, then vanished into the void. The council chamber grew cold with that revelation. If even half of it was true, then humanity was no ordinary race. The vote. Some species called for humanity's memory to be locked away once more. Better to let the myth fade into dust than risk reawakening it. Others argued the opposite. If humans were real, if they were still out there, then the council must prepare. To be ignorant would be suicide. The vote was split. And then, at the last moment, the High Speaker herself cast the deciding vote. "Let the truth be known," she said. "If the scriptures warn us, we must heed them." The revelation. Archivists continued translating. The final fragments revealed something far more terrifying. The humans were not extinct. They were exiled. Ancient records spoke of a coalition of species who, fearing human ascendancy, sealed their home system off from the rest of the galaxy. A great barrier of interdiction fields and false star maps was constructed to hide them from view. The scriptures ended with a final warning. We could lock them away, but we could not break them. Should the seal ever fall, their wrath will burn the stars. The chamber erupts. Panic rippled through the council. Entire factions screamed for weapons development, for armadas to be built. Others pleaded for diplomacy, arguing that provoking such a species would be madness. And then came the most chilling realization of all. The exile had been imposed millions of years ago. The barrier could have decayed. The lock could have failed. Humanity could already be free. The arrival. Weeks later, Council probes sent toward the forbidden coordinates vanished without a trace. Patrol fleets reported strange sightings, ships of unknown design shadowing them at the edges of explored space. At first, the Council dismissed the reports as fear-driven illusions. But then a signal broke across every channel in the chamber. It was simple. Short. Cold. We remember. A silence heavier than death settled across the galaxy. Epilogue. That day became known as the Day of Trembling. Not because humanity had attacked, but because humanity had simply spoken. The Galactic Council had uncovered the scriptures hoping to learn of an ancient myth. Instead, they had rediscovered an ancient truth. And as one fearful delegate whispered in the silent chamber, the scriptures were not warnings. They were promises. Friends, this was today's story from Tales That Burn Fire. If you enjoyed the story, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss any new stories.